Hello everyone, welcome to Amani's Lightwork Keys to Akasha section of my channel. For those of you who are new or you're visiting, welcome. It's great to have you here. Hope that you decide to stay. Before I begin with the reading I'm going to be doing today, I just want to give a little back history into this section of my channel and my channel as a whole. Everything that is covered here is based in interpretation and what I receive from spirit, okay? So that implies that I'm using my ability and the aid of spirit to get the readings done, okay? If you do have any personal inquiries, you have questions, comments, or concerns, you can always email me at iamakasha108@gmail.com. You can also send me a direct message to my Instagram page at AmaniIfe777. Okay, so I am going to be doing a reading on Michael Kenneth Williams. He was born November 22nd, 1966. He passed away September 6th, 2021. Okay, he was a Scorpio. He was found deceased in his Williamsburg, Brooklyn penthouse by his nephew. The cause of death they're claiming was a possible drug overdose, but I am going to dive into a situation and see if there's any information that I can gather that may be beneficial towards his case. Okay, he actually lived, I didn't even know he lived in the city, but he actually was living in an area that a friend of mine lives close to. Works in the same area of a friend of mine. Okay, but let's see what energies we can pick up for Mr. Williams. I'm picking up something like he's saying that he was short of cash. Like I'm getting that idea of, I always get this idea of penny pinching, like a Four of Pentacles kind of energy going on. He was a Scorpio. I don't know if he had any earth sign energy around him necessarily, but I am getting the idea of cash. Like the spirit keeps saying something about cash, like being short of it, not having enough to pay. I also get the idea of a dealer, like a dealer. He was taking things, things that will oft alter your state of mind, I should say. I don't want to just say drugs, but I'll just say that he was kind of under the influence, but it does feel like he may have had an interaction with a dealer at some point, and he was saying that there's something going on being short of cash. Like he could have needed, dealer doesn't only have to be like drug dealer. Drug dealer could also be like a car dealership. But typically if you're going to receive something about somebody dealing, like a dealer, and like being short of cash can also be playing a game. Like going to the casino and playing, being short of cash there, dealing a hand of cards, dealing money. But typically it would resonate mainly with drug dealing and being short of cash with the interaction of dealing with a drug dealer. Okay? Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this in chronological order as carefully as possible, okay? The Two of Peace energy is here. Two of Swords would mean, would bring the energy of an air sign, like an Aquarian, a Libra, a Gemini energy. he could have been dealing with. I don't know the signs of anybody in the building that he was living with necessarily. I don't know the sign of his nephew, but the Two of Swords would be a mental decision. So Two of Swords can resonate with him or that of the air sign element that he could have been dealing with, whether that's intimately, whether that's it's giving me the idea of where he was living, like someone that was living in the complex that he lived in. I know he lived in a penthouse. You know, penthouses are typically like at the top of the apartment building. If it's not that, then it's the energy of someone that was living in the building at the time, someone who was outside, someone that may have gotten questioned by police. It just depends on what's going on. But I'm doing this in chronological order. I'm looking at Two of Swords energy as well, and I do get the idea as well of a love interest that he could have had. Like, I don't know if he had a love interest in the building. Like, he could have had like a girlfriend, someone that was living with him. I don't know if this is like a male or like a female. Someone he was dealing with, okay? Someone he was dealing with. So before I move any further, he has some type of energy of a dealer, like possibly a drug dealer or and whatever other kind of dealer, and something's going on with that interaction with that person and being short-handed, like having like being short-changed or like or what do you call that? Being short in terms of a payment of given to a drug dealer. There's a couple of different situations that could be coming through there, and then there's another situation of somebody that was living in the same building as him. The spirit was giving me the idea of a love interest. Now, this could be someone that was living with him or someone that just, I also get someone that saw something happen. So someone could have been living with him or they visited him and they just saw what happened. So that could be the energy of the nephew. That could be the energy of a girlfriend, a guy friend. Someone was present with him in his place, or they live in the building and they know or they saw what happened. Okay, starting point has the Four of Completion. The Four of Completion would be the Four of Wands energy. Completion, I mean, the fact that it's completion is a 4, which means it implies a solid foundation. It implies that something did happen. I also get the idea of business. Something happened with him in his business. I know him to be on Lovecraft. I didn't necessarily watch The Wire that much, but I know that's what he's mainly known for. But I did watch him on Lovecraft, and he did a really good job on that show. But the Four of Wands, he could have been involved in another type of business. He could have ran his own business. I also get a startup company. So when I say ran his own business, someone's going on with a startup company. A startup company would be like, I'm getting an idea of like a modeling agency. I don't know if he was doing something with a modeling agency. Like, typically modeling agencies, they're going to partner with the industry, the film industry, where they're going to get him photographed. They need headshots of him. They need him. They need full body shots of him, etc., for the films and the shows that he was in. That's one element about it. Then there's also this idea of either contacting a modeling agency or just like it's related to a startup company that he wanted to do. And something could be going on money-wise with a startup company that he wanted to work on, or he was in the process of gathering the paperwork for, in conjunction with a modeling agency. So a modeling agency will be associated to him as an actor, period, because he would need to get photographed. Then there's the idea of him trying to start up his own company, his own startup company, and then have that associated to a modeling agency, either for marketing purposes or to build capital. So it just depends on what's going on there. But the money with the dealing, yes, that could be drug related, and the money with the idea of the dealing could also be associated to a payment that he may have needed to start up his own startup company. Like, whether it's modeling related, it could be beauty modeling related, or it's related or intertwined with what he was doing as an actor, right? But the whole idea that it's to build capital. So for example, say I run my own company and I need my company, it's a startup company. Say I wanted to have more visibility, for example. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then introduce myself to other investors that can possibly get my company out of the dust so it can be seen. There's more visibility. I'm going to market my company through an external partner. So in turn, I then build capital for my business. That could be something that he was experiencing, or that could be something that he was working on. But something's also going on with having the money to have that run. So for example, he's got this drug problem. He's got this issue going on with dealers, and I mean, dealers could be what he was doing business-wise. Dealers meaning drug dealers. He's got this dealer that he's dealing with, and something about his funds may have been dwindling because he was dealing with a drug dealer. Something he could have cut in to his funds for his startup company, for a modeling agency, for whatever industry. Yes, he was in the film industry. Whatever he was trying to branch off and do on his own, yes, he needed money to collab with other people in order to build the capital for whatever it is that he had going on. But what's happening issue with that is the drugs. You're going to cut into your savings to then go pay a drug dealer. You're cutting into the savings that you need, if you want to build revenue for your business, if you want to build capital, you want to start these partnerships. He's cutting into the funds for that to give to a drug dealer, to give to whatever kind of other dealer. I don't know if he had a gambling problem necessarily. That may have been intertwined with the drugs. It just depends on what's going on, okay? But that's happening in his home environment. That is happening wherever he worked. That's happening in an office environment. That's happening in a studio where he's having discussions with individuals. It's happening in his home. There's communication with people in his home, or who he's calling, or someone that he's directly in communication with in terms of the business, okay? The waiting position has the 8 of indolence. The 8 of indolence, this is his energy and that of other water signs like Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. He was a Pisces element. He could have been dealing with a Pisces, but he was a Scorpio, my bad. He was a Scorpio. So the 8 of Cups he can be embodying with himself. I'm getting the idea of insurance when I said that. So insurance could be related to, it could be insurance fraud related. It could be insurance related to his business that he was trying to build capital for. Or insurance, meaning it could be health insurance, some type of insurance that he was given from working in the industry. But the spirit is giving me an idea that someone has that. So right when I said insurance that he's getting from the industry, somebody has access to that. Of course, somebody has access to that already. So that could be a family member. That could be a family member. That could be a cousin that has access to that. I also get a co-star. A co-star has access to some. I also get an insurance policy. A co-star may have access to an insurance policy that someone may have taken out on him. I don't know if a manager did that to him. An agent could have done that to him as well too. Those elements help each other in terms of insurance policies. I also get the reason for his business. If it's not only insurance policies, then it's the reason for, now I see what's going on. So he was trying to start up he was in the process of working on his own startup company. That's one. The reason for it was because he was trying to diverge out of the Hollywood film industry. So then he's trying to do his own modeling startup company, or he's trying to associate his startup company with that of a modeling agency that is intertwined with the film industry that he was working with, whether that's a Hollywood one, whatever the name is. Whether it's Universal, I'm just giving examples. CNBC, whatever he was tied to at the time. His own separate company, he may have been trying to intertwine. It's a lot going on here. He may have been his own startup company. He may have been trying. I also get the taxes. He was trying to intertwine the taxes to what he was doing with his own startup company with that of the industry, the film industry that he was working with at the time, or the modeling agency that he was working with at the time, trying to get the taxes for that, or trying to get the insurance for that. He was trying to intertwine that. The Eight of Cups is also someone may not have been someone that either like has an insurance policy on him, or he just had his own insurance policy for himself. Someone has access to that, but that's the reason why he even started the company, because he could have been finding out that someone like a cast member or like a manager, someone like a top dog that's in the film industry, they have insurance policies on him, or they took out insurance policies on him. So he's like, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna start my own company. But something about starting up his own company will forever be intertwined with what he was doing with the film industry, or the castmates that he was working with at the time when he was in the film industry. Something is really intertwined about it. So whether he was thinking that he was diverging off, I also get the idea of cutting ties. He was thinking that he was cutting ties with people, but that's not really the case. Like, you can cut ties, you can cut emotional ties with people. You can at least try to do that. You can cut financial ties with people, especially when we're talking about taxes. And Eight of Cups, something about that is not possible. You cannot, because he signed himself in with this industry, they then own his assets automatically. They will forever own a percentage of his assets. Maybe another percentage of his assets will go to his family. But they will, whatever he tried to diverge, whether he tried to leave the industry, whether he tried to do something different in the community with his own business, they'll forever have access to that because of his documentation. They'll forever have access to it because of the taxes. But it could also be because of his name, who he is as a person. Like, even his contract with the industry may still be running, because he may have been, I would say, pre-run. There's something going on with pre-run clips of shows and with him in it. But it's pre-run, kind of like a posthumous work that he was involved in. Like, people have access to that. So he's trying to do his own company, but he's not yet done or finished with the contract that he's still running. Like in the industry, you cannot leave that contract. Whether you sign off the contract or not, they'll have access to his documentation forever. They'll have access to his insurance. They're able to take out insurance policies and whatever they need to do on him. Whatever they need to do to safeguard. So he's making money on his own with his own company. What he files for his own company will then just go back to the industry. Will go back to the film industry, or they'll receive a cut of that because it's intertwined, because of his name, because of his fame. So it's not, in turn, that's why the Eight of Cups is here. In turn, it wasn't possible. I mean, he could have tried to have a lawyer present, like Eight of Cups, Four of Wands. He could have tried to have a lawyer present to work out that situation. But the lawyer, even if he had a lawyer present, they weren't truthful, or they weren't really helping him. They weren't really trying to help him, because they could have been helping someone that was in the industry. They're helping someone that is in the industry, or they were industry appointed lawyer that he's discussing his plans with to open up his own startup company. I didn't disagree. So when I said there was a lawyer he was interacting with, an industry lawyer he was interacting with that he was appointed, they disagreed with the choices that he was making with his own company. They're like, I don't think you should do that, because they're gonna be on it. So I don't really see the point. That's the lawyer's voice, or his voice. I don't really see the point of you trying to do this if you're really trying to. They're gonna have access to this tax documentation. They'll always have access to this documentation. What is the point of you trying to do this or run this agency, run this startup company? The taxes are intertwined, whether it's separate or not. But it's legal. So as I'm talking about it, there was a serious legal matter that he was involved in that involved his documentation. It involved some type of life insurance. It could be life insurance policies or insurance policies that maybe castmates have, a manager, someone who was managing him, like an agent, people that they have these on him that he's dealing with. So they're aware that he's trying to branch off and do his own thing, and they have their eyeballs on that as well too. They have their eyeballs on that as well. So whatever money he was making from that startup company, it's going to go back into the pockets of an agent. It's going to go back into the pockets of a lawyer or an industry appointed lawyer or a castmate. Something's going on with a castmate, and I keep getting insurance. Something's going on with castmates and insurance. If someone passes, if somebody's working with a group of people, people can take out insurance policies on their coworkers. People are allowed to take out insurance. A supervisor or boss is allowed to take out insurance policies on their crew, on their employees. So no doubt, I feel like I keep getting this idea of multiple. He may have had multiple of those on him. Like somebody may have taken out multiple of them. That could be why he was indulging in drugs. Something could have been emotionally deteriorating about that knowledge, about castmates and the agent and managers and insurance policies. Because he is signing away his documentation, pretty much. The Queen of Wands, the public defender is here. That's why I said lawyer. Queen of Wands will be an Aries, a Leo, or Sag female. That's there. So that could be the energy of a mom or an agent, a castmate, a friend, whoever the Queen of Wands, a lawyer, someone that works in the court system. They're here. Their energy resides with the Four of Wands energy. Their energy resides with them. You know, he may have had Eight of Cups. She could be the lawyer. She could be the industry appointed lawyer or a lawyer. I also get someone he found on the internet. Like Queen of Wands could have been someone he found on the internet, like a lawyer or the defense attorney he could have found on the internet. So I mean, just finding if they're not necessarily if they weren't necessarily recommended to him, he just did a search and found them on the internet, or somebody recommend he contact this individual to resolve the matter with the insurance and the insurance policies and things of that nature. Him finding out about the insurance policies. Eight of Cups, something was troubling about him finding out about insurance policies that people took out on him or they took out on his business. Like you can take out insurance as co-workers. Somebody could take out insurance on his, I also get property. Someone has an insurance on his property, or something was just going on with the insurance of his property. I don't know if he had another property somewhere other than where he lived, but someone, like, it's either him something's going on with the insurance that he's dealing with directly with his own property, or someone that he was working with, like an agent, a castmate, like a supervisor of some kind. I get conjoined. Someone along those lines has their documentation intertwined with insurance that he has running with his business, or insurance that he has going on with his property, like the insurance for his property, some type of property, either the one that he was living in or an external one. I don't know if he had like a house somewhere else in the United States. That may be something he had going on. I know that he had to go back. His body went back to Pennsylvania with his family where his mother was. So I don't know if there's a property there. Something could have been going on there with that. Or it's just a property. It was not a housing property. It's what do you call it? It's like a location for a company that he was trying to run. And something's going on with the insurance for that. And the spirit is also telling me that's why the Queen of Wands energy was even needed. The Queen of Wands energy, they were needed to help him manage the insurance for a property, for a company that he's trying to run. And it's faulty. So when I said that something happened faulty there. Something ended up really faulty with the insurance, with the payments. Something happened faulty with the insurance and the payments for the property that he was trying to run the business in. Whatever it was that he was trying to do. He could have been doing that. That could have been like a community project that he was trying to start up. And so was going on with the insurance, right? There may be too many like policies, like there may have been too many insurance policies that somebody has with his information. Like somebody has, like, whether that's like in the industry, I guess she knows about. So the Queen of Wands energy, the Queen of Wands knew about there being multiple policies being taken out with his information, his name. So that's something that he did directly on his own, or there were other people involved, like castmates involved, agents, people involved, that they're just it's the way his information was being handled. Like, it's the way his information was being handled, the way his documentation was being handled. That's why the Queen of Wands energy is here. They're there so they can help him or assist him with the matter of clearing up why his information in the hands of others, his information ended up in the hands of other people. Easily, like with ease, it ended up like that. They may have something, like the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Wands energy kept something. They kept something. Whoever it is that they are, they kept something that he was trying to seek their help to protect or secure. They kept a copy of it, or they have it. So that's documentation. I also get an appraisal as documentation. It's an appraisal that this energy has. Appraisals meaning an appraisal would be for whatever kind of property that he has, whether it's a housing or it's a residential or it's a commercial property that this element has a copy of an appraisal for. He could have given her a copy of an appraisal for, or she just had, I keep getting the idea of kept. She just kept a copy of an appraisal. She may have been supposed to give him the official copy, or she may have been supposed to give him the copy or the official document for the appraisal for the property, the housing property, or the residential or the commercial property. But she kept it. She kept it. She may have been asked to keep it. She may have been asked to keep it by an agent, by a manager. They're an agent, they're a manager, they're a lawyer of some kind. Like they've been holding information from him. Okay, I see what's going on. If the reason why they either were asked to hold, the reason why they're holding it like on their own, like not necessarily by being asked to do so, or they're just doing it on their own, like they're just holding the information, or they just kept the documentation, is that so that he has the Eight of Cups, it does have something to do with helping the community. Like his community, whether that's a Brooklyn community, NYC, a community in New York City, a community in the Northeast, whatever kind of community, it has something to do with that. Something that he was trying to do with that. But they have you know what's interesting? This energy knew what was going to happen to him. They knew what was going to happen to him, so because they knew, they held on to his documentation. He could have been asking for it. But under the influence, he may have been asking for some type of documentation back, or asking for the documentation period. But this energy knew he was under the influence. He was doing that while he was under the influence. Wow. The future has the Ace of Disc. That's a new job. Okay, or the potential for one. And then the Death card energy is his energy. So that's the sign of Scorpio. Right? So the Death card energy would be, I keep getting insurance. The Death card energy, that is him. But Death card energy and his instincts would be insurance. Like okay, I'm trying to understand. I'm just going to go back to this one point. If he was trying to like leave the film industry like forever, I mean not forever. I mean he wouldn't necessarily not leave forever, but like temporarily, maybe to take a leave of absence, take a break. Like something's going on with him trying to extract himself from that. but it has a lot to do with the taxes. It has a lot to do with I keep getting the policies. Yes, there may have been a policy that attached to a contract that he signed that says, you need to be with us. You need to be with our agency for this amount of time. You can't just take a leave of absence. 8 of Cups. So he's like, I want to leave now. Like, that could have happened in August. Like, I want to leave now. Or April, 4 of Wands. He's like, I want to leave now. I want to leave now. I want to take time off now. I'm trying to work on my own company. I want to take a break. I want to take a break from filming. I want to take a break from The Wire. I want to take a break from Lovecraft. You know what I mean? Is it an unintentional break, or it's like it's intentional, but it won't let him do? It's intentional, but somebody isn't letting him do that for some reason. Someone isn't letting him do that. He can't do it. It's okay. They're not letting him do it because technically he can't do it. Like, he can't do it because of a policy. Either like a policy that attached to a contract that he signed. That's one. Or policies, like because of some type of insurance policy. For example, say I'm working with someone and then for like 6 months, and they tell me that they want to take a break, but I have an insurance policy on that person that states that they can't leave under 6 months, or I'm not going to receive this benefit. I'm not going to get the bonus. I'm not going to get the 30% bonus or 40% bonus to my paycheck. I'm not going to get the return. That's the 8 of Cups. He could have found that out. Or he could have hired this person. Queen of Wands could have been appointed to go figure out that information for him. Something was an annoyance to him as well, too. Something became a heavy annoyance, either with the Queen of Wands. Could be an external Scorpio. Queen of Wands. Something became an annoyance with them. Something became an annoyance. They ended up being really annoying, or something that they wouldn't let him do, or something that they wouldn't tell him became an annoyance. So he could have just found out something on his own. You know what I mean? That's the example that I gave before. That was what was happening to him, but in the industry, or with something he was trying to do separately. We cannot get this done for you because you have these policies. I mean, that may not have been necessarily somebody's words. Nobody's going to walk up to someone and say, I mean, he knew what he didn't know. No one's going to walk up to someone and say, oh, your castmates have these insurance policies on you, or they use your documentation to get, to add your name to these insurance policies, to create these insurance policies, or to get insurance for themselves. You can't leave yet. You can't leave under a year. You can't leave in 12 months. You can't take a break. Technically they're telling him you needed to stay here for a certain amount of time, so that you basically get, your information benefits that of other individuals that are around you. So if you leave, whatever they have deteriorates, or they lose something, or they lose a bonus, or they lose a tax increase. 8 of Cups. So someone could have been giving him that information. Someone could have pulled him aside and say, hey, this is what's going on with you. Or they also kept some type of documentation. I had protection. They kept documentation to protect him. Oh, let's see what's going on. The documentation that he was demanding, he could have demanded it. That's why the death card is in the instincts. The documentation that he was demanding for commercial, residential, or something going on with the industry, some type of documentation along those lines, he demanded it. But the death card has a lot to do with who is on it. Who is on the information. There's policies that people were able to take out with the documentation that someone doesn't want him to see. So if he gets the documentation and sees that, okay, Amy and John have these insurance claims and policies that they did with his information, he's going to find it out and sue. He's going to find it out and then he's going to sue. And also, in turn, is going to mess up what he was trying to do with a startup company. Hence the reason for why the Queen of Wands energy is not giving him some type of documentation, or they're holding a appraisal or something that they have. They're holding some type of tax document that he was due to receive. They're holding the documentation because there's people on it, or there's people on it, or it's just okay. There's other people on it. There's something on the documentation that that somebody's like, I don't want him to see that. I don't want him to see it. So it could be other people's names. Okay, I understand. So it's like, this is a lot. It's crazy too. Nobody sees. Okay, oh my God. Oh, if he's in the industry, somebody. Okay, say I want to sign a contract for a commercial, right? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sign a contract. Okay, the list of benefits, they're gonna run through a list of benefits I'm gonna receive, right? That's one. Secondly, what's happening with that same contract that I signed with the documentation, with the whole layout and explanation, that's for me, but then another copy of that is being made to then distribute to, I get castmates, another copy of that is being made to then it gets distributed to other castmates and agents and managers. So something that happened there, he was not supposed to see, which is why he's telling people, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to leave, but they're like, he can't leave because it's going to mess up the distribution of the contract. Copies of the contract he originally signed. Damn. They be deep in it, man. They be deep in it. The Princess of This energy, the kindergarten teacher, is in the accomplishment next to the Four of Wands. So this could be a child. I think he had one child, but this could be, I don't know. This could be a castmate, a friend, someone that lived in the building, someone that he knows. Princess of Disc is in the accomplishment right next to the Four of Wands energy, right? I get stable. So I'm looking at the Princess of Disc. They're stable. Whatever that means. Stable meaning like they're home. Stable as in like they don't use drugs. Stable, typically like when you're stable, when you're using the word stable to describe someone, they're either stable as in like they don't use drugs or they don't use alcohol. Like they're stable. They're stable could be like their position in life, like they don't move around a lot, like they're stable. They have a good foundation. They're stable. Four of Wands next to them, whatever that means. That could have been a friend of his. But the Four of Wands resides, it's right next to them. So whatever environment that he was in, they were present. I don't know if he was trying to help this person. That could have been someone that was asking for money. It just depends on what's going on. That could be someone in the community he was trying to help. But the spirit said they're stable. So it's like they're stable as in like they don't need his information. They could also be the child. They could also be the child of a co-star that he had as well. They could be the child or the partner of a co-star that he had, or they were a co-star of his. Princess of This would be like a Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo female they're younger than him, but they're like a co-star or something. They work with him somewhere, and the spirit is saying they're either a child of another actor or another co-worker, or they are a co-star themselves, and something is stable about them. The spirit said something is stable about them because they could have done something with his information. Or they also required a benefit. They required a benefit from him. I don't know if he required a benefit from this individual. I feel like they needed something from him. Or they stayed put. When I say needed something from him, he either wanted them to stay put or they wanted him to stay put. They wanted him to stay put, whatever that means. Stay put. Don't leave. That's why I said they can't leave. Because they're intertwined with his insurance, some type of insurance that he was due to receive, or like they're intertwined with a percentage of that contract-wise, duplicated contract mainly. They're like intertwined with that. She's like he can't leave. Four of Wands, Eight of Cups. That could have been making him uncomfortable. I don't know if he heard that person say that. He could have heard this individual say that. You know, he could have heard them say, they could have been having a conversation with the Queen of Wands. Or the Queen of Wands could have dug them up to have a conversation with them. You know, whatever else get promised. Like, someone was promised to the Princess of Disc. Or something was, I see. Something that the Queen of Wands energy was withholding from him is supposed to go to the Princess of Disc. But it has something to do with the company. It has something to do with a company he was working with film-wise, or another company that he was working on himself. He could have already had something running. Like, he could have already had a business running. But someone's just going on with the insurance and the taxes for it. And who has access to it? Who has access to it? And why they have access to it? Or the documentation for it? The appraisals? Whatever it is, you know? They need a benefit. And they're having conversations with his lawyer or someone, and they're trying to tell that person he can't leave. If he leaves, I'm going to lose this. I keep getting, and now it's giving me the word joint. I'm going to lose this joint benefit. I don't know if that was a love partner of his or something. I'm going to lose this joint benefit. I'm going to lose a joint benefit. That's a Queen of Wands energy voice. That's a Princess of Disc voice. Hence the reason for why they were holding documentation. He's asking for the documentation. They were refusing to give it to him because something that Princess of Disc energy was promised. The Queen of Wands energy is holding that. They're holding it. The spiritual self has the Nine of Wands, fortitude. The Nine of Wands will be defense. Yes, the public defender, Queen of Wands, public defender. They could be a public defender. They're defending him. They're not defending him. They're defending her choices. Queen of Wands, maybe they were defending Princess of Disc energy choices, or the Princess of Disc defending the Queen of Wands energy choices. Somebody was defending somebody's choice here, or one of these elements, one of these women, they're defending his choices, or they're not. Or the reason why they're present was the reason why they're present was for them to defend a choice that he made, vice versa. But one of them isn't really doing that. Like, one of them isn't really fulfilling that promise that he wanted in that way. That's why the Nine of Wands is there. Nine of Wands is exactly that. Nine of Wands is them explaining, I can't fulfill your promises. I'm trying to protect your castmates that are trying to benefit. I'm trying to protect your partner that they're contacting me for a piece of this, that, and the third. I'm trying to protect your agent, because they came to me and I complained. An agent could have came to somebody and complained. Came to the Queen of Wands. Princess of Disc. They're complaining. One of these elements is complaining. Or there's an external element that went to one of these two elements to complain. Nine of Wands energy next to the Eight of Cups. He wanted to sue. Princess of Disc may have been on the verge of getting sued. Queen of Wands could have been on the verge of getting sued. That's why the Nine of Wands is next to the Eight of Cups. Nine of Wands, he could be embodying, whereas he's defending himself. He could have been on the verge of suing this individual for holding back information that this element was promised. Wow. So that's a love partner. That's a co-star. That's another co-worker. That's someone that worked in the industry with him directly. And they're being protected, or they just were promised something, period. And them being promised something means that he doesn't know that they were promised something. He may not have known that. Or they were gathering information on why he was leaving somewhere. Like, they're trying to gather information about that. Or the Queen of Wands energy was. And like both of them, or one of them is like, he can't leave. He cannot leave, okay? The Seven of Cups energy is in the mentality. So Seven of Cups is his energy, and that of other water signs. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, co-stars, co-workers, agents, managers, friends even. Seven of Cups will be his energy, needing options as to what to do, where to work, I also get sell, where to sell or how to sell something. He was trying, that's why I said appraisals and things of that nature. He may have been trying to sell a property. He was trying to sell something. He was trying to sell, I don't know if it's drug related sell or like property sell, whatever. Or he could have been trying to sell a product. He could have been, if it's not drug related and property related, he could have been trying to sell something that he had going with a company that he was starting up, whatever that is, whatever that was. 7 of Cups energy. How to sell this home. How to sell this retail property. How to sell this company. How to sell whatever it was that he was trying to sell. And someone's like, he can't sell. That's why the death card is there. You can't sell her voice. You cannot sell this property. I'm not going to allow you to sell. That could be their thought. They may not have necessarily said that to him, like, directly. That could have been their thinking. Like, they're like, he can't sell this. I'm not going to let him sell this. I don't know, somebody else. I don't know if he was thinking, he could have been thinking that about someone else. Like, I don't want her to sell this property. But I also get distribute. I don't want her to distribute this information. I don't want her to distribute this documentation. I don't want her to distribute drugs. I don't want her to distribute whatever it was. I don't want her to distribute my information, the appraisal. I don't want people to know about the appraisal. I don't want people to know I'm selling my property or trying to sell my property, whatever it is. 7 of Cups. What's changing is the Prince of Cups energy, the filmmaker. There you go. Here's film. Prince of Cups could be another, like, castmate. They're a filmmaker. They could have been someone that was literally taping him, if you want to look at it that way. Or their friend, whoever it is. So you have a Prince of this, you have Prince of Cups that could be a child, that could be an energy of a nephew, family member, co-star, co-worker, whoever. Prince of Cups will be Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, male, they're younger than him. They're changing. So whatever, he could have had an interesting interaction with him as well too. This is a younger person. They're in a changing position. I get left. They're in a changing position because they left. Like, they left a situation. They could have left. They could have been a part of a film or a clip or a show that he was doing with them and they left, or they were able to leave. But the spirit is saying nothing happens with their information. Nothing happens with theirs. But something happened with his. But I get black and white. So when I said that, it has something to do with, like, if this is the film industry, it has something to do with black actors and white actors. What happens to they're white. Like, if you look at the picture, this is a white person on this card. Like, they're a white male. This energy is a white female. Castmate, co-worker, friend, somebody that he was closely working with. Like, nothing happens with their information, but they can get on his. But I get, like, the idea of racism. So it does have to do with racism. Nothing happens with their information. Whether they're black, white, whatever. I don't know what the reason is. The spirit said because somebody's white, somebody's whatever. Or it could be because somebody's younger. Something doesn't happen to somebody's information. Something doesn't happen to theirs. It's an external water sign energy that's a male that's younger. Nothing happens to their information. But I get put on his. Like, nothing happens to theirs, but they're able to be put on his. Or they put themselves on his. Or they were just able to just do something with his. Because he was black. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's some element. It's racist, but it's like it's how the information gets used that it's like they're not aware how it's getting used. They're not aware what happens to it. Like, whether, however long they're living, however long they're in the company, however long they're in the industry. It has a lot of Queen of Wands. This looks like a black woman to me, honestly. that he was directly dealing with, that the spirit is saying that she really wasn't helpful. I don't know if it's a black or white woman that they're trying to appear like a lawyer, defense attorney of some kind. The spirit is like, she wasn't helpful. She wanted something for herself at the end of the day. So I get a crab in a barrel. They're like a crab. If they're a black woman, someone's crab in a barrel, like, about this person and what he's trying to get her to do. But why are you telling me that these individuals are on my things? Why aren't you trying to help me with that? Why aren't you trying to help me with that? So hence the reason she's being called a crab in a barrel, because of it. Crab in a barrel, okay, I mean, I don't normally use that, but the spirit is saying that. Crab in a barrel is like a black person that they are aiding. How to explain? They are more so aiding like the white side of things. I don't know how to explain it. They're more so on that side than they are for the blackness. I should say. Like crab in a barrel, like they're neutral, but it's like neutral in a bad way, where they're not really looking out for their black brothers and sisters. Like they're like, okay, this white person wants to do it this way. Like, I'm just gonna follow suit because I don't want to be looked at like I'm crazy. That's her thought. I don't want to be looked at like I'm crazy, so I'm just gonna go and just, I'm just gonna follow suit. I'm just gonna follow suit, and that's the crab in a barrel ideology with a black woman that's acting like that he's interacting with. You're not going to help me? Like, he's telling her, you're not going to help me save my documentation? You're not going to help me get them off? I was going to will. You're not going to help me get them off of a will. He could have a will that he wrote. He could have a will that he created for, like, his child or, like, a family. And it's something crazy that's going on there with wills and co-stars and co-workers and agents and managers, like wills and insurance policies and life insurance policies even. Can you help me fix this? How am I going to go through with my company? And I ain't illegitimate. How am I going to go through with my company? I have these illegitimate people on my thing, on my documentation. Wow. They get paid well. Queer ones, they get paid well to not help. Whatever. It's crazy. It's sickening. Some element is sickening about it to me. I feel sickened by it. Three of Swords energy is in the resolution going towards the Ace of Disc. Three of Swords, air sign. Three of Swords is in the resolution going towards, he may have been trying to, the Ace of Disc could be his own job, his own creation. Ace of Disc could be a new opportunity with Lovecraft, but I know they shut that down. Ace of Disc could be that. Or The Wire, or whatever he was doing. It's in the future. Right? It's in the future that's going on there. I get tired. So the Three of Swords energy is being tired. Like he was tired. He was tired. He had been tired of acting. He was tired of dealing. He didn't want to deal with trials and things. Trials as in like court trials. Court trials meaning someone was trying to help him gather information for him to even present to the court so that a judge can even get the opportunity to help him in that way by finding out what's going on with his documentation for his own property or for the industry. Something that he had going on with someone in the industry. And him letting him leave, and he can't leave, and nonsense like that. He's like, I'm tired. He's like, I don't even want to deal. I don't even want to deal with this. Why can't I get them off? Why can't I get them off? Why are they being promised things? But something like that happens for years to black celebrities. Like black male and female possibly. I mean, maybe even more so the male, I don't know. But something happens a lot like that with their documentation. That happens a lot with their documentation. And like, I don't notice. So as I'm saying it, like they, in the industry, they don't notice that that's happening, or they're not researching that that's happening to them. So it's like you want to go and you want to extract and you want to do your own thing, and you're doing the taxes and you're doing the insurance and things of that nature, and it's I get blocked. Something ends up being blocked with trying to do that. He was blocked from doing that. Something along the procedure, he ended up being blocked by trying to do that. Or something happened on his block. Like, that could be another interpretation of it. Like, something happened on the block that he was living in. Like, on his block. Like, or the building, for once. I don't know if these energies lived in his building. Somebody could have lived in his... Somebody here could have also lived in his building. Or they came by his building. I don't know if he was meeting with someone, and they could have came by his building. You know? Alright, so let's see. Let me do an outcome on this. That's an outcome. What happened here with him? Alright, so his outcome has the 9 of Swords energy. I also get the night before. Something happened with him the night before. So if he tried to end up in calling someone, if he had a conversation, he could end up talking with a Queen of Wands energy for a while. That's a possibility. He was talking to someone on the phone for a while. You know? I also get dispute. He was it has something to do with a dispute. Like some type of argument, or it could be trying to get something disputed, getting something disputed in court, getting something disputed transaction-wise. Like, getting something disputed would mean that, okay, getting something disputed would be either him trying to buy a property, that's one. Getting something disputed will also be like buying the property or succeeding with buying the property. I get cancellation. So as I'm talking about the property, buying it or selling it, there was a cancellation that he hit for some reason. Like there was a cancellation there. Or he could have tried to buy something himself and there was a cancellation. Like somebody canceled it. Like he tried to buy something, somebody canceled it. He tried to sell something, somebody canceled it. Like, it feels like I also get an internal error. There was an internal error that showed up in his account, or there was an internal error that kept popping up on his like computer, or when he tried to make some type of like transaction. You know how they use a computer or like a cell phone, and I get tapped. His cell phone could have been tapped. That's one element of it. 3 of Swords. His cell phone may have been tapped. His cell phone may have been tapped for some reason. I don't know. It's weird. But the cell phone being tapped is to connect his affairs. It's tied into an affair that he was involved in, like a business affair that he was involved in. The cell phone was tapped, meaning that he's on the phone and people can hear his conversations. He has no idea. People can hear the conversation. One of these elements, I get listening. One of these elements may have been listening to the conversation. Queen of Wands could have been listening to the conversation. There's 3 people here. They were listening to him. I get several days. Like, somebody tapped in. Oh, this is crazy. This is really crazy. Somebody tapped into his cell phone. I also get bank account. They were able to tap into his cell phone, and then they were also able to get into his bank account. Back to that idea. The reason why somebody had access to his bank account was because of the information, his documentation that I have copies of. They have copies of the documentation. So they're able to access his bank accounts. And somehow somebody's also able to tap. His phones were also tapped. Something's governmental about a tie that somebody has here. So they were able to tap into his phone as well. They were able to tap into his phone. So I don't know if he was doing something with drugs. I don't know if he was literally selling or he was buying. He was doing something like that. But I get something about funding. So something about the drugs is heavily involved, but it has something to do with funding something he was trying to do. I don't know if he was hot wiring cash. Someone may have been trying to send him that, whatever it was. And somebody could be showing up here like a cop here as well too. Could have been somebody had his phone was tapped. Somebody had access to the accounts. This is like using like cryptocurrency to make purchases on things. A co-worker could have been involved. Oh, wow. This is really crazy. This is crazy. Like cryptocurrency, like they use Prince of Cups energy uses cryptocurrency to like purchase things like illegal things and whatever, cryptocurrency. But I keep getting the idea of documentation. Like his documentation, they could have used, or they dispersed to, his documentation, someone used or had access to make a drug purchase. They used his information to make a purchase using cryptocurrency or using their own money or doing something. They made a drug purchase like online. I don't know if they used darknet or something to do it. They used darknet or something to do it, but they used his information. They used his information to make the purchase, right? They use his information to make the purchase. I get identification. Something is going on with the Prince of Cups energy, identification, or his identification. They got a hold of his identification somehow, like his social, his like ID cards, and they're making purchases, like drug purchases, or they could have been making, what do you call it? They could have been making like really expensive purchases with his information, and that could also be why he has the Queen of Wands energy involved, and he's also like, she wasn't really helpful. Like somebody had access to his information in a really crazy way that was detrimental. That's why the Death card is in the instinct. So the Seven of Cups. How do I close this account? How do I, that's why I said cancel and dispute. How do I dispute and cancel these transactions that I didn't even make? So I don't know if a co-worker did that to him or someone that he was doing business with. I get envious. Someone that he was doing business with was envious of him. And they got a hold of his information. They got a hold of his information really crazy. So one element, they were given it, and then that could be another possibility, just given it somehow by somebody else, and they just had access to it. So it's either his responsibility into why they have access to it, or it is or it is not, or somebody else external, like Queen of Wands or Prince of Disc. So they're making crazy illegal purchases with his information, and the cops could have been involved with that. The cops showed up. The cops showed up to his place. That could be one reason why. That's another hidden reason into why the cops showed up to his place, because they're the tap phones and things of that nature is because they're tracing his conversation. They're tracing where he was when a transaction was made, or this element could have gotten traced. I don't know if he was trying to do that with this person. I don't know if he was trying. Some is drug related about it though. Like some is drug related and legal about how the information was getting used. But it's like I also get drug trafficking. So the Prince of Cups, some is drug trafficking about why they're somewhere. Like this could have been something he was doing with a property or his home or a residential property. It has something to do with drug trafficking. Some type of trafficking, like drug trafficking. It has something to do with drug trafficking. Somebody was using his information to traffic drugs. I don't know. It's really crazy. So what's going on with them? I didn't resolve a matter. He may have tried to resolve a matter with a Prince of Cups. That's why the Eight of Cups is there. He's talking to the Queen of Wands. I need this fixed. I need this issue fixed. And they're using my documentation, this, that, and the third. I need that fixed. I need that fixed. You know what I mean? How do I fix this issue? So he could have tried. I get contact. He could have tried to contact a Prince of Cups, resolve the matter. So I don't know if they ended up coming by. He was on the phone with them. I get outside. They could have been outside of his home. Someone, like, there's a male that was outside of his home that he's supposed to meet up with. He's supposed to meet up with that person. He was supposed to meet up with that person, or he let them in. That's why the Nine of Swords energy is here. He let them in. I came upstairs. They did come upstairs at one point. They came upstairs at one point. You know? They came upstairs to handle something with him. They came upstairs to handle something with him. They offered him. He wasn't alone. Like, somebody was with him. Someone was, I was with this idea of an injection. Someone was with him. I don't know if he asked for that or someone gave him that. But they were present. They were present. But yeah, we're going to get sued. So the Prince of Cups, they were going to get sued. He was going to sue them. Hence the reason for the Queen of Wands. Sue them for accessing this information to buy some type of really illegal craziness. But I feel like he knew this person, like, knew them in the sense of being really comfortable enough to, like, have an interaction with them, or being really comfortable enough to even have them in his home. They were around. But there's something going on with an injection. I'm looking at these three swords energies, and these kind of look like needles to me. Like injection. Like some type of, I don't know if that happened to him, but it's something's going on with injections. Like injections. Feels like he fought this individual. Like he fought them, and somebody could have had a needle on them. I feel like somebody had a needle on them. They were gonna get sued. They were going to get sued. I get stabbed. I get this idea of like a stab wound, but it's like with a needle. It's not with a knife. It's like a needle. It's a needle. Like a heroin needle. What's another way people shoot up? Heroin, meth, some type of needle. Somebody had a needle on them. They were going to get sued. Queen of Wands energy wasn't helping. This could happen days prior to that. Like the news may not cover certain elements about it, but it's like he was on the verge of really. First of all, he was able to pinpoint who was using the information, whether that was someone he was working with, someone he had on board with him, that knew he was a drug user. That individual just so happened to be a drug trafficker that he was involved with. So that individual is angry because he's like, they're becoming aware that they're about to get sued because the phone that he's using to interact with her is tapped. The phone he's using to interact with a Queen of Wands energy is tapped. Princess of Disc energy, I just know the Princess of Disc energy just knows what happened to him, but they're involved because they're a beneficiary. They're involved just because they're a beneficiary. So either he is aware that they are, or he wasn't aware that they were. Then the Prince of Cups energy. And Prince of Cups energy is like, they're like a client, they're like someone he was working with, they're whatever arena, he knows this individual. Like, they're aware that they're about to get sued because he's on the phone. He's having conversations with a defense attorney about what's happening with, transactions and canceling transactions and information and separating himself and companies and money. And he's not aware there's a portion of his information somebody has access to make drug purchases with. That individual is a drug trafficker, and somehow he's ended up in an interaction with them. Like he could have known them personally, and they just went off. They could have went off. I get high. They were high as well. Like he was high, they were high, and somebody had a needle. He had a needle. They had a needle. They're like, you're trying to sue me. You're trying to sue me. Wow. Oh man, that was a lot. That's a lot. There's drug trafficking intertwined with a community project that he had no idea. He had an idea or had no idea that there was an element of drug trafficking that was intertwined with his startup company. So it's accidental, because he's like, I didn't know. And he's trying to get somebody to help him, because what's going on with it is that whatever he's doing with appraisals and companies and buying and selling property and startup companies, and he's trying to make payments there, and something's off about the payments. So he could have tracked to see what was going on, or he knows a purchase in his account, and he's like, where is this coming from? Why is it going there? I keep getting troubling. So as I'm talking about it, it's troubling. Like, the thought of it is three words. It was troubling him. It was troubling. All right. Okay, so that's Michael Kenneth Williams. That's, any questions, comments, or concerns, you let me know. May his spirit go with peace. Be well. Take care. Bye.